name is John Matthews. I lived most of my childhood on Cherry Way in Hayward. I graduated from Hayward High School in 1950, January 1950, and we moved to Hayward, as near as I can remember, about 1939. Hayward used to be rural at the time, and we kept a pig and chickens, and the kids used to take the cow down and stake it alongside the railway right-of-way when they went to school, and the cow would graze all day, and when the kids came home from school, they'd pick the cow up and take her home. My dad kept bees. He had 2,500 hives of bees. In Hayward here, which was rather surprising, there used to be a lot of eucalyptus groves around, and that's what the bees got the honey from. I can remember mowing the lawn when the radio announced that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. I had a Japanese friend, Takamoto, a kid I used to run around with, and one day he just disappeared. And I never did as a kid. I never did find out what happened to him, And but later on, I did find out. I never saw him again. And the Hayward Airport at one point was a Japanese strawberry patch. And after the Japanese were interned, all the people went out there and they picked up strawberry plants. Let's see what else. Oh, they let us out of school to pick tomatoes during the war. They had us handling scrap iron and the rest of it, collected scrap iron and newspapers and stuff like that. They had rationing, well, because we lived in a rural area and we butchered our own pigs and stuff. It didn't really affect us as much, except the gasoline, which was a terrible problem. Yeah, when I was in high school, the hill behind, it's all houses now, used to be wild, and there used to be horses up there, and we'd take off at lunchtime and lasso a horse and ride around until it was time to come back to school. When I was in grammar school, I went to Luther Burbank Grammar School. About the time I was in the Boy Scouts, and we went out to Niles Canyon, and there was a dam out there. It existed until I think they tore it down last year, but it was a campground out there, and there was a homemade bridge across the creek, and you could go out there, and there was this campground, and there was this dam, and when I was a kid, there was 8 feet of water on the wet side of the dam. It since silted up; it filled up almost. But I always so much fun out there. But when I was a kid, I used to ride out when they were filling for the Oakland airport. There was a steel, about 3 foot in diameter, steel pipe they used to pump the fill in from the bay. And I used to walk out on that, and we'd catch sharks. And I had a bike and a little red wagon, and had stakes on the wagon, and I would catch, maybe 30 sharks, 4 feet long, and I'd load them in the wagon and haul them home. And then I used to I'd stake a couple up, and I'd give my mother some, 4 or 5 steaks. And I used to cut them up and I had a 50-gallon drum up on cement blocks, and I would dump them in that, and I would cook them for the pigs. Pigs really liked it, and I really gained weight on it. When I was in high school, there was a place in Castor Valley. It was an auction yard, Reed's Auctions, and at that time they were bringing horses in from Nevada and Utah that fairly good conformation, but they hadn't been ridden. They were 6 or 7 years old, and you could go down there, and if you watched the auction, there was somebody would buy one of these horses and take it home, and after it tried to kill him, he'd bring it back the next week and sell it at the auction. Now you could everybody most know about. So us kids used to chip our money together and buy a $40 horse. Now, and just generally, nothing as mean as a $40 horse. I mean, nothing is as mean as a $40 horse. But there were 5 of us involved, and we take it out, and this kid out in Casarella had a corral. And poor horse on a Saturday, one kid would climb on, and the horse would buck him off, and everybody would laugh. And then another kid would climb on, and the horse would buck him off, and everybody would laugh. And by the time they got through 5 kids and started on the first one again, the horse never had a chance. In about 3 weeks, we'd have that horse trained to the point where he'd back, stop, neck rein, just about anything you wanted, stand when you left him. And then we'd take him back to the auction yard, and we have one kid was a particular rider, and we'd have him ride around the auction yard there and demonstrate the horse could stop, slop on his haunches, or neck rein, and back up, all these things. And then we could get, for a $40 horse, after we did a number on him, we could get about $300. And that was fun, because you used to get pitched. Everybody used to laugh. I got hit with a horse through his head. I got hit in the mouth with his head. I got 9 stitches inside my top lip, busted my nose. But it was fun. I mean, everybody enjoyed the excitement of it.